We are approaching the very final session, which is not really a session, but maybe a bit of exploration of that dream that can hold us further. So we call this dream University for the Planet. But what does it mean for us is still to be discovered. Because our idea is that we need to discover a new and create a new type of learning spaces. We know that universities have been designed as very masculine, very colonial type of institutions. They were designed in the time when European powers were spreading themselves, and they were mostly driven by men that were preparing their, let's say, the elites, the military and religious elites, to spread the power, to spread a certain worldview. And that DNA of the existing university still prevails. But we need new types of learning spaces, ones that are embracing not just, let's say, the top-down hierarchical way of organizing ourselves and learning. We need spaces where learning becomes truly intergenerational. We need spaces that are where we can learn from indigenous wisdom as much as we can learn from modern science. We can learn from religious wisdom of the past as much as we learn from future-oriented technological and engineering approaches. And we can learn from the sacred feminine as much as we can learn from the masculine perspective of the world. And furthermore, I'm asking, can we create a learning space where we're not only learning as humans? What if we create a space where we can learn together with other species, with other planetary systems, with all of our planet? So the planet learning together. So when I think about this dream of the University for the Planet, for me, it's more than just learning that is done by humans and with humans. It has to be something that actually transits that boundary that is really only existing in our mind between humans and the rest of life. There is no boundary. The life flows through all of us, and we can all begin learning as life. And to me, the message of regenerative movement, the regenerative economy, the evolutionary renaissance is exactly that, that we are all part of this living universe, learning together. So it's still to be discovered how we do that. We are doing it, probably all of us, in our work. And the invitation that I hold for all of us being here in this room, and some people that could not attend today, is what if we actually start creating that space intentionally? What if we create it as part of that evolutionary attractor, something that Erwin Laszlo was talking about in the first day of our forum, something that calls us from the future. Some people are talking that actually we are facing three opportunities. We are facing the opportunity which is an extinction as a species, which is present as part of the evolutionary spectrum. We are probably offered a possibility, but I don't think that's a long-term and sustainable possibility of perpetuating our model and tightening the control over societies by elites, creating these what I call digital cages, where all of technologies, including artificial intelligence, are used to really suppress the human spirit and to increase that control over everyone, including nature. That possibility is there. There is also a possibility of liberation, of empowerment, of evolutionary transit, the upshift that is not only for humans, it's for all of the biosphere. And this moment that we experience, this moment that looks really threatening to many people, including the sixth extinction that is probably going on, can we discover that this process is not only the death, but it's also rebirth and birth of something new and something beautiful? How can we hold that space together? So I actually was thinking that at this moment we would have some kind of declaration signed, but I feel like we don't have that declaration yet, but we are the declaration. We, all of us, are kind of that non-written declaration that we hold together to bring this into being. And I actually would like to invite a few people. I invited some, and maybe some will have be moved also to say something. Maybe I just 1 minute of what you sense this University for the Planet could be. And maybe I would invite Victoria Aro, first of all, because Victoria, you've been creating a University of Environment, which has become an attraction space for well, all of Latin America, at least, to learn how to learn with more than human world, and how to become these custodians or stewards of the earth. And what could it be for you?
Thank you, Pavel. Well, for me, and we've been talking a little bit about this, Pavel and myself, more than creating a new space, for me, what would be very meaningful is to create a weaving space of the space, the other spaces that exist, because a University for the Planet implies learning from many parts of the planet. You know, there's a local level and a global level. So what would be, at least for me, very significant is if we had a learning space where we could come and share what is it that we're learning from the planet in the place where we are, and planet in the whole of its ecosystem, including humans. What is it that it's significant from other universities, for example, the University of the Environment in Mexico, coming and say, well, what we are learning in the place where we are is this. This is what we find of value. And then being able to listen and dialogue and share what others are learning wherever it is that they are, in terms of also something like communities, learning communities, or universities. I think that would be tremendously significant. I believe that if, as humans, we begin to put conditions so that we can organize in learning communities around the world, we have this incredible tool in which we are right now, this virtual magic, where we can transcend our geographies. And if consciousness came from neurons exchanging sufficient information, I wonder what would happen if we would have enough learning communities around the world trying to learn from each other and from the world itself. And what would happen if we would exchange enough information? Could something like a collective, more explicit consciousness arise? That would be one question that I think would be incredibly important and delightful to explore together in such a space.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you for being here with us. And I also would like to invite Marilyn. Your work with integral cities and recognizing that cities can become the sensory organs of Gaia. Now they are playing some different role, obviously, but they could become something else. And can we move into that dream? And I sense there is a lot of resonance between what Victoria just said and what you are working on.
Yes, thank you, Pavel. And yes, I've always felt a great deal of resonance with Victoria, and it's just really wonderful to hear the success she is having. So yes, I wasn't sure how you wanted me to enter this conversation, but I love the invitation to talk about Gaia's reflective organs. That is what James Lovelock said humans are. He had been listening to an interviewer discuss all the terrible things humans had done to Earth, and was asked if he had a very high opinion of humans. And he said, well, yes, in fact, Gaia has evolved us. And I think that was a deep insight for me that I have never forgotten. And I've also heard so since this is a group of people who was quite happy not to stay human-centric, but those from other universes, other galaxies whose Earths, whose planets have survived, it's because they honored the planet as life, as mother, as source of everything. And I just thought, well, that makes just such perfect sense. So if Gaia is a living being and we have perhaps the cities are her organs, then our organizations could be organelles and our individuals could be cells in those organs. We have a whole fractal relationship with Gaia's life. And we know that it's really connected much more like mycelial networks than looking at neurons and synapses and things and stuff. It's really a connection through the field. And I feel that the possibility to think of a university for the planet, that indeed she would guide us. And we would have to invite in not only all the life that is seen, but unseen. So we would invite in the real mycelial webs, but we would also invite in all the beings that exist in the field that we're not usually conscious of in our visible lives. So to imagine that we could have a university that was that expressive, that way of inviting in the beauty that the women just discussed in the last hour would be just so inspiring. So this idea that we could care for the planet and we care for our places, care for each other, and care for ourselves also gives us a wonderful way of maybe exploring a curriculum design that's quite different than the one that you pointed to, Pavel. I have in the last couple of weeks decided that the new human is humana qui curat, the human who cares. And that is how I would love to see that we create a university for the planet, starting with care for the planet. So that's what I would start in our conversation.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm thinking of bringing in some masculine energy. Nick, thank you for being a wonderful host over these 3 days. And you are also a community weaver for a number of communities that are trying to instigate change in the world, in particular scientific communities that try to conduct this action research for impact. So what would be your holding of the University for the Planet?
Well, thank you so much, Pavel. And I'm just sitting with so many feelings, and I'm wondering how you're feeling right now. Just wanted to give a little space for all of those myriad feelings. So I'm feeling over these past days, awe and gratitude and anticipation at what's next. I'm feeling the purpose and the oneness. I feel a lot of resonance with Victoria and Marilyn and everyone that I've heard in a plurality. You know, we're not all identical. We don't all have to be doing exactly the same things, but we're definitely swimming in the same sea and swimming in the same direction. And so, yeah, we spoke of co-sensing and co-design and really deep generative listening, the essence of being together. Yeah, and I'm feeling this is the energy that I'm getting from you, is this this movement, yeah, this embodying the transformation. We're part of it. You know, there's a lot of people not here as well. I love the closing day focus on Indigenous and youth and feminine focuses. So I feel a lot of anticipation to co-design further, and with the diversity of voices that are not yet at the table, whether it's more of what we had today, more from the global south and more from nature and AI and non-human, and of course more from funders and from dissenters as well. I would love to hear more dissent. Yeah, where's the resistance? Where's the tension? Because yeah, that's really what is strengthening, and getting them all in the game. That's a beautiful expression, and playing in the process together. Oh, yeah. So I just wonder what bridges we can build together. Yeah, I'm a bridge builder, much like many of you. So yeah, I'm just wanting to sit with that invitation of, yeah, what bridges can we build together? Or I also love the gardening metaphor of tending to our relationships, relationships with self and others, and weaving into that oneness that was, yeah, beautifully presented over these days. Yeah, what wonderful things will we grow?
Thank you, Nick. Olivier, let me put you onto spotlight, and thank you for being such wonderful partners, Learning Planet Institute. This forum has been only possible with your support. So thank you for also holding space for these things to happen. And I know it's only the beginning, and the dream of University for the Planet, or the planetizenship, is our shared dream. So how do you sense we can move forward?
Thank you, Pavel. I mean, it's such a great pleasure to see all the work that's been done, and I participated yesterday and partly this afternoon. I had to leave at one point this afternoon because we were discussing with the city of Paris the creation of a 100-year anniversary of the first Declaration of Children's Rights. And this took me 100 years ago. And in fact, 100 years ago, also in Paris, in 1923, there was the idea, which was with the Société des Nations and before UNESCO, of creating a university for the planet. It was another name, but really this was a project which never saw the light. So really, having played with you for the past 10 years, danced with so many of you, we have to make it happen, and we have to make it happen together now. So how do I see this? And I mean, we are talking together on a weekly basis also, so that's not completely, but the University for the Planet, or the Planetizen University, or should be some kind of universal receiver of very good and stimulating content, but also distributor. The receiver could co-construct with many other players, with social entrepreneurs, with youth, with universities that are willing to play this game. And then we have to find a way with that network to distribute the content and make it reach to other places where it's needed and where it's not getting there. More precisely, I'm in the mood for peaceful futures, Pavel, in the mood for resilience, for learning from the extremes, in the mood for wisdom, for children's rights, for imagination, for planetizenship, which is a new kind of citizenship adapted to our needs for the planet. When I'm talking about mood, that's something that François came up with, François Tadei. It's massive, open opportunities for discovery. And within this mood, we are starting now to really design, and together with you, what is it that we mean? There are some really high quality resources that can be co-designed with other people on topical issues like the one I've mentioned, but there are also a very strong focus on facilitation locally and the role you can play with the community, and a very strong focus on what you do, for instance, in internships or real world programs for peace building, for instance. And I think it's this whole dimension, not only academic learning, but this dimension of engagement of, scientific social entrepreneurs that are equipped to really have some impact, that we are starting to see how to develop, or trying to, and we're doing this with so many people. So I don't want to take too much time, but we know that we want to co-design from the beginning with you, with communities that have not been associated to this co-design. We're talking a lot with friendship in Bangladesh, but many others, friendship, they are facing the most extreme flooding and extreme poverty, and the lessons about resilience, courage, adaptation to change, but the knowledge is there. So how do we together design things which are absolutely great? It's around knowledge, it's around skills, it's around ethics. I think this is something, and wisdom, the ethics and wisdom part. So we could do partnership with a very great engineering school. We're not going to be better at the engineering, but we could bring in all the collective and social and impactful dimension that is missing in all these dimensions. So I'm going to stop there, but really working on the distributed network, on the local hubs. I mean, there are so many places. I mean, Victoria, your space is incredible, but how do we connect it with the LPI? And I don't know, with Dartington Hall and with so many other places, so that together there are also some physical and local hubs and friendship in the north of Bangladesh. And let's do this. And some good news, or some news which are of interest, and I'll stop on this. We have a very, very strong interest now, very strong, from UNESCO and from the UN University to support this, which would allow certificates, diplomas, labels, whatever, to be recognized worldwide immediately. So this is moving very fast. And this can be something that has to be shared to some other things. And the last thing is, maybe you finish on this, but there's an invitation to work during 2 or 3 days again on this, in person or online, during the Learning Planet Festival, about learning to take care of oneself, others on the planet. We are going to focus a lot of efforts on plenty of moods or different sessions very soon, because it is in January. So that's an invitation to all of you to join forces together with Pavel and many others on this occasion to design some of these pieces.
Yeah, we'll make sure that Learning Planet Festival is one of our next, let's say, temporal destinations. We will have a session in a month from now, 21st of November, where everyone is invited, but we will also have a session or a number of sessions in the Learning Planet Festival at the end of January. And I would like to invite a few more voices. Thank you, Olivier. So Youth by Youth has been really such a beautiful partner in all of this happening, and the co-creation we experienced today is just astonishing. And Valentina is here.
I'm here.
Yes. So if you could share just a bit, what could the University for the Planet mean for you?
So I feel very much what has been spoken. So I would love to lean into 3 invitations for everyone in this room. One, I believe the University for the Planet begins where we are. And that is looking at our microcosm of this planet and saying, where can we open to invite those perspectives, those archetypes, those roles that currently aren't really a part of our ecosystem. And that is in our homes, that's in our communities, and in our organizations. And so with that first step, and really, I think that that's really where the University for the Planet begins, is in our individual commitment. The second piece is in this idea of a mycelial network extending beyond. So Youth by Youth, we call these global hubs, globally supported but locally driven hubs of intergenerational learning that we've been seeding across the continent of Africa, and then hopefully to the 80 countries in our community and beyond, to every single corner of this planet. As long as you're connected digitally with the phone that I am talking to you on, we can connect as a University for the Planet. And so how can we intersect what UMA and Learning Planet and Student, all our various local hubs, really to see that we're part of all the same mycelial network. And the last step, I would say, in making that possible is a project that our young people have been co-designing. Ila on this call, and Mohini, who could not be with us today, is called our Knowledge Commons. And this is our invitation to really share and open access to the knowledge and learning from our weaving of these local hubs, from us taking those individual actions to learn, be, and do, and weave this University of the Planet. Let's not compete of this knowledge, but really share the knowledge and power, and find ways of making that a regenerative source for all of us, and especially the young people and the generations to come.
Majida, you've been a voice of, a genuine voice of Global South and indigenous wisdom. And thank you for holding that session today. And maybe as we open up the space and invite that perspective, to be held by all of us. What is your dream?
I'm mostly just letting it all flow in. But if I was to just share something that's still in process right now, it would be that this is probably like the most closest manifestation of a poem I had. It was in 2020 with this Debout Citoyenne in France, in Paris. We were at the Zenith, and there was all this kind of like diversity, how we can grow together, and everybody was to share something. And I had this poem that started that I have a dream, we are the dream. And it was something that I was aspiring we go to. And for me, I see it already present here. And there's something very encouraging of me feeling that the progress is too slow, but there's something very alive here. And Olivier said something about friendship, talking about the precise example of Bangladesh, but the word friendship itself is this connection that we can create, where it's not just like whether you have positions or powers or knowledge, that you feel this, friendship, you feel at ease, and where just the best of you comes out. And that's what I feel happens. For example, Alexander, this brings out, for me anyway, brings that out in me and in everybody. And meeting Pavel and Katerina, it's just we all, and Marilyn, I feel like I'm in a family of empowerment, that we're already a sort of mycelium. And to see how this weaving, what passions me the most is how can we continue? Because one of the things that is a frustration for me for the last 20, 30 years, where I was in engaged cinema, of consciousness cinema, we're talking about these great things and great meetings, and the follow through, and there's more, the obstacles are too present. But how about if we don't make the obstacle something that stops us, and that we just continue, even by us being the wealth, this friendship being, and trust being our currency, where we can every so often meet, just like we're doing here, and nourish and connect. Already here, a lot of interweaving has been done. So there's this, a lot of new synapses are growing in my brain. And within that, last but not least, what's very dear to my heart is including a language where everyone is equal, whether when we come to sound and movement and poetry, I'm a big fan of Casala, where everyone can do it. And so it becomes a common ground where the ice get broken, and it's not a matter of any credential, it's just the being, and things like that can connect us are present. They exist, of course, from all the wonderful meeting and the people talking about decolonizing education, which is already decolonized actually for many people. They're already doing it. And so that kind of makes me feel that a university for the planet is that it's already alive, and we are that. And how can we continue it forward? And I would definitely love to get to evolve with this, all of you. And I'm full of gratitude. I say thank you, and to create the bridge, especially with the places where they don't have access to this, that we can have the video, and even if there is no internet, we can show it as a screen in some place in the middle of nowhere in Ethiopia. Things like that makes me joyful. Thank you.
Thank you, Majida. I would like to basically invite everyone on this call to speak, but I recognize in the interest of time we need to limit ourselves, so I'll just bring a couple of more people in. I would like to bring in Ana Lucia. You've been one of the people who really inspired me to move forward when we met about a year ago with this idea again. And we spoke about the possibility to activate a space in Latin America. So maybe you can share a few words. Then we'll bring in Morgan also.
Well, yes, thank you. And I also feel a lot of alignment with everything that I said. And I think I can take also this opportunity to honor the great masters that are present here, and especially Victoria, who has been a great influence in the way I think about these things and the way I think about education. And I keep resonating with what she said actually about weaving spaces for people who are striving to help us get into this shift that we've been talking about for the last 3 days. And to me, the question that is lingering is still, what is the opportunity that we have right now to reinvent the way we learn, and in service of what? And I think this relates to what Valentina was also saying about the global hubs, like, and that other people mentioned as well in every single day of the forum, actually. Like, there is this global reality and we're more interconnected than ever, but we still need to honor local context specific processes and everything that implies. So I'm really wondering, like, what can that look like? How can we use diversity as a principle, as a force, as a practice, and how far can we take that in? And also, like, going back to what was being said earlier in the feminine panel, about putting the caring for and nurturing and preservation of life at the center of what we do, and valuing that. And what does that look like? And also, what does that look like in terms of learning spaces? And especially after what you mentioned at the beginning of this closing, regarding how universities were invented to preserve certain structures in the world and to reproduce a specific form of knowledge and a form of being and a form of relating to the world. So another question that I hold is, what are the many other purposes that learning spaces can serve for? And how can we actually put, the caring and nurturing of life at the center of that, and really value that as a core process in conversation and through diversity, which is why we've been also talking about a lot of what this means in terms of also engaging with people who do not speak English as their first language, or even as their second language. Like, we've also had a lot of conversations about how to bring this into spaces in which wonderful conversations can happen. They could get inspired by the questions that are being asked in this forum, but also this forum could have brought into many other questions that have been asked in those contexts in which English is not the predominant way of thinking and speaking, which is also something that I'm very eager to explore, in terms of how can we relate to each other from a global point of view, and even in global communities, using other forms of communication, or I don't know, like, it's a very live question, even how we talk amongst each other and with even non-human species as well. There's this issue around communication that is very exciting in terms of what everybody has said about learning about from and with non-human folks. So yeah, I think that one of my favorite things would be to at least start, opening these conversations and deepening the work that UMA has pioneered in Latin America, for example, with Spanish speakers, which is the second most spoken language as a first language in the whole world. And there's like 500 million Spanish speakers around the world. And I was thinking, in terms of these thresholds or these turning points, like, what would happen with those 500 million people-ish having conversations like the ones we present here, and what if we just took a step forward in those terms? So I really appreciate this space, and I'm dreaming the dream that we've been dreaming this last 3 days very powerfully. And yeah, I'm very excited to see where this leads us.
Thank you. Morgan.
Thank you, Pavel. Yeah, I mean, first I just want to, I guess, comment on this gratitude to be a part of this group, and to kind of honor the engines of this conference, specifically Pavel and Alexander and Elena and Katerina and Sergey and a whole bunch of people that like made this happen. And it gets to I want to make 2 points, both of which have been brought up already. But one is the derivation of the word university is universe, and so I think that one of the things that we all struggle with like the way that, as Pavel mentioned, university had been used in the past, was that it wasn't a constellation of all the things that created. It's actually not even just knowledge; it's truth, right? It's existence. And so I thought that this conference did such a good job of bringing together a universe of thinking. And if we start to prioritize this universe around planetary thrivability and human thrivability, then that gets to the next point, which I can't remember, is early on in the conference, someone said something to the extent of, there's it shouldn't be the technocrat versus the mystic. And so, and I sometimes I feel like this massive deficiency in being from the West, living in New York, part of a capitalist society. And so, the technocrat in me is more active, even though my soul feels this like deep non-alignment with the way in which society is organized. And so there's so many people here where that mystical side, that soulful side is so activated. And I feel like the technocrat in me wants to build these artificial intelligence systems or something that has the values that are placed here, and brings that all together. And I was even thinking about the language. There are some of these. It's up to us to kind of take those technologies and make sure that we're using them correctly. So with AI, there's a lot in terms of translation, in terms of even automatically taking the words that someone is saying and putting them into a different language so that you're not hearing it through an interpreter that's having a hard time looking and sounding and saying it with the same soul. So I think that there's a way of taking this universe of ideas, prioritizing that soul that we have, and using technology and some of the tools and some of our understanding to communicate, across planetary and human needs. So those are kind of the thoughts that I have, and just so much gratitude.
Thank you. Yes.
Can I just say something very, very, very short, just before we leave? I just wanted to add that I think that's something that we could learn in the University for the Planet, help each other learn together with the non-human people, is how do we become or recognize that we are indigenous to this planet, and that process to really, really feeling that identity and that connection of being indigenous to the planet, which implies also finding our place in the ecosystem that the planet implies. So yes, that would be certainly one dream I would like to just add to the list of what we could do with the University of the Planet.
Thank you. And I guess we could continue for so much longer this conversation, but there is a saying that you need to leave the table a little bit hungry to have a sense for more. So I am hungry for more. To open up the spaces of conversation. Again, I repeat that we will have a next session on 21st of November, and all of you will receive materials, recording everything that was produced through these 3 days. And thank you, Dorothy, for saying hungry for real, because interpret in two senses. We will also eat good meal after the end, but the other hungry for real is like, how can we make it all real? That's for me another sense of being hungry for real. And we had an opening with a beautiful ritual, and the opening that we did together with my dear friend Alexander, who has been the holder of this space for 3 days, together with our amazing team, and I would like to honor all of them. There were many people in the background that didn't really appear in the forefronts, but they were extremely important to make it all happen. Katerina really worked hard to make it all work. There was a team that included Yelena Sokolova, included Sergei Dolgov, Sergei Khmelevsky. Really important people were Alexander Mishonkov and Nik Snitkov, who did a lot of amazing work with us. And there was another Pavel, who was a person supporting all this forum for 3 days. So thank you, Pavel Shalnov, for making it all work. yeah, everyone, and Nick and Ross and Majida, Anna-Marie, Valentina, amazing Youth by Youth team, amazing Learning Planet team. I won't name everyone, but Reka was really very supportive. Olivia, thank you for giving support to us. Morgan, thank you also for hosting. Of course, everyone who stepped in and helped us make it work. A lot of gratitude. And let us all find a way to, for this final kind of moment of, to bring this energy that closes the space. We began by opening up the space, connecting with nature. There was Marion Newman who helped us do an opening ritual. And I would like to invite us into a closing ritual where we sort of look through all 3 days that we have experienced. And maybe if you just sit comfortably and close your eyes for a moment and connect with yourself. And as Nick mentioned, all the emotions that appeared in you through all these days, all the ideas, all the intentions that awoke in you, everything that was present in you was not only about personal experience. There was something that was going on which was interpersonal experience. And the space that we opened is not just for us, because people that stepped into the space, I think everyone who came in was not random. I think everyone I know who came to the space was a point of connection with many more communities, many more groups, but also with local place, with place where you are, with all the nature that is there, with all the energy of that place. So we experience this dream of the earth living through us through all these 3 days. And thank you, Earth, for making it happen through us. So I will close it with the sound of the instrument that is very important to me. It's known as Jew's harp, but it's not really Jewish. It's a very ancient, maybe one of the most ancient instruments in the world. This one comes from Yakutia, northeastern Siberia. And it is the instrument used by shamans to open up spaces and close spaces. And I will ask my friends, Alexander and Katerina, and I think we have someone else with Vargan, or khomus as it's known, to join in with the sound. Alexander, maybe a sound of your flute to liberate us all from this space and get us into the world.
Ashe. Friends. Wow. Thank you. Yes. let's do this. Let's do this. I'm wearing the right shirt. Got my flute. I got my shirt. One, love. Okay.
Never stop.
This is it. This is it. And you know, this is something that Olivier did say also. We are dancing each other all the time. And we're being danced by Mother Earth. We're dancing in this conversation. I had some other things to share, but I'm just going to leave it now and just go with the flute. All right, listen, I'm going to stand. Before I stand, let me do one other thing here. Okay, if you don't have your screen on, your camera on, turn it on, please, if you can. And if you can, turn it on. Okay, so here we are. Look at the screen, turn it to gallery view and see everybody here. Just look out here. And then I'm going to ask you to put your hands at the edge of your screen like this. Don't put it front, don't put it to the camera, just to the edge of the screen. Put your hands out to the side. Okay, you know what would isn't like we're touching hands here? Where's my hand? Here. There we are here. Like touching hands all around. Wow, we are here. This is cool. One last thing, play the flute. Thank you for the hands. Cool. Just want to see another show of hands. Who's here? Just who's here? If you raise your hand, if you feel like you're here. Isn't that awesome? Where the heck is here? Where's here? I mean, you know, but we all feel like we're here, right? All right. Okay. Get up. Come on. Come on. Get up and move. And then get the music right. Here. It's going to sound better now. All right, let's unmute. Let's all give us a big sound from your heart. Unmute.
Go bigger.
Woo!
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Olivia. Thank you.
Spasiba, arrivederci.
Spasiba.
Alles Gute.
Thank you.
Un abrazo.
See.
See you soon.
Much luck.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Everyone.
you.
Thank you, Pavel, Katrina,
Hasta pronto.
Alexander, all of you.
It's been a wonderful 3 days.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
May the light keep on.
So, thank you.
Nice heart, Annette. I got this one here.
Well, see you soon.
Bye. До свидания.
Thank you all. Such a lovely, lovely forum.
Enjoy the rest. Enjoy the rest. Integration time. Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Lars, thank you for joining us. All right, time to close.